Zazenshin, A Needle for Zazen, by Eihei Dogen, from Shobogenzo, The Treasury of the True Dharma Eye. While Great Master Yakusan Kodo is sitting, a monk asks him, "What are you thinking in the still state?" The master says, "Thinking the concrete state of not thinking." The monk says, "How can the state of not thinking be thought?" The master says, "It is non-thinking." Experiencing the state in which the words of the great master are like this, we should learn in practice mountain still sitting, and we should receive the authentic transmission of mountain still sitting. This is the investigation of mountain still sitting, which has been transmitted in Buddhism. Thinking in the still state is not of only one kind, but Yakusan's words are one example of it. Those words are thinking the concrete state of not thinking. They include thinking as skin, flesh, bones, and marrow, and not thinking as skin, flesh, bones, and marrow. The monk says, "How can the state of not thinking be thought?" Truly, although the state of not thinking is ancient, still it is, how can it be thought about? In the still state, how could it be impossible for thinking to exist? And why do people not understand the ascendancy of the still state? If they were not the stupid people of vulgar recent times, they might possess the power and might possess the thinking to ask about the still state. The great master says, it is non-thinking. This use of non-thinking is brilliant. At the same time, whenever we think the state of not thinking, we are inevitably using non-thinking. In non-thinking, there is someone, and that someone is maintaining and relying upon me. The still state, although it is I, is not only thinking, it is holding up the head of the still state. Even though the still state is the still state, how can the still state think the still state? So the still state is beyond the intellectual capacity of Buddha, beyond the intellectual capacity of the Dharma, beyond the intellectual capacity of the state of realization, and beyond the intellectual capacity of understanding itself. The one-to-one transmission to Yakusan in the state like this is the 36th already in a line of direct descent from Shakyamuni Buddha. And when we trace upward from Yakusan, there is, after 36 generations, the Buddha Shakyamuni. Having been authentically transmitted like this, thinking the concrete state of not thinking is present already. In recent years, however, stupid, unreliable people have said, in the effort of Zazen, to attain peace of mind is everything. Just this is the state of tranquility. This opinion is beneath even scholars of the small vehicle. It is inferior even to the vehicles of men and gods. How can we call such people students of the Buddha Dharma? In the great kingdom of Sung today, people of such effort are many. It is lamentable that the patriarch's truth has gone to ruin. There is another group of people who say, sitting in Zazen to pursue the truth is an essential mechanism for beginners and late learners, but it is not necessarily the action of Buddhist patriarchs. For them, walking also is Zen, and sitting also is Zen. In talking and silence, movement and rest, the body is at ease. Do not associate Buddhist patriarchs exclusively with this effort of Zazen. Many who call themselves followers of Rinzai are of this opinion. They speak like this because they have been remiss in receiving the transmission of the true life of the Buddha Dharma. What is a beginner? Which sort is not a beginner? At what place do they locate a beginner? Remember, as the established method of investigation in learning the truth, we pursue the state of truth in Zazen. The point, in manifest form, is that there is acting Buddha which does not expect to become Buddha. Because acting Buddha is utterly beyond becoming Buddha, the universe is realized. The body Buddha is utterly beyond becoming Buddha. But when nets and cages are broken, sitting Buddha does not hinder becoming Buddha at all. Just at this moment, the power is originally present, through 1,000 ages and 10,000 ages, to enter the state of Buddha, or to enter the state of demons. And forward steps and backward steps possess the capacity intimately to fill ditches and to fill valleys. Zen Master Daijaku of Koze, after receiving the immediate transmission of the mind seal, while learning in practice under Zen Master Dai-e of Nangaku, constantly sits in Zazen. Nangaku, on one occasion, goes to Daijaku's place and asks him, "Virtuous monk, what are you aiming at sitting in Zazen?" We should quietly consider and investigate this question. That is, we should consider in detail whether Nangaku is asking, is there an aim which might be superior to sitting in Zazen? Beyond the framework of sitting in Zazen, there has never yet been a state of truth to aim at. Should we not aim at anything at all? Just in the moment of sitting in Zazen, what kind of aim is being realized? More than we love a carved dragon, we should love the real dragon. We should learn that the carved dragon and the real dragon both possess the potency of clouds and rain. Do not hold the remote in high regard, and do not hold the remote in low regard. Be accustomed to it as the remote. Do not hold the close in high regard. and do not hold the close in low regard. Be accustomed to it as the close. Do not think light of the eyes, and do not attach importance to the eyes. Do not attach importance to the ears, and do not think light of the ears. Make the ears and eyes sharp and clear. Koze says, aiming to become Buddha, we should clarify and master these words. When he says becoming Buddha, just what does he mean? Does becoming Buddha describe becoming Buddha being done by a Buddha? Does becoming Buddha describe becoming Buddha being done to a Buddha? Does becoming Buddha describe the manifestation of one instance and the manifestation of two instances of Buddha? In aiming to become Buddha, being the dropping off of body and mind, aiming to become Buddha as dropping off. Does aiming to become Buddha describe that? Even though becoming Buddha is of myriad kinds, it continues to be entangled with this aiming. Remember, the words of Daijaku are that to sit in Zazen is, in every case, aiming to become Buddha. To sit in Zazen is, in every case, becoming Buddha as aiming. The aiming may be before the becoming Buddha, may be after the becoming Buddha, and may be just the very moment of becoming Buddha. Let us ask for a while. How many instances of becoming Buddha does one such instance of aiming entangle? This entanglement is further entwining with entanglement. At this time, all cases of entanglement as totally becoming Buddha in separate instances, and as totally becoming Buddha, always being exactly itself, are individual instances of aiming. We cannot flee from a single instance of aiming. At a time when we flee from a single instance of aiming, we lose body and life. But even the time when we lose body and life is an instance of entanglement as aiming. Nengaku then picks up a tile and starts to polish it on a stone. Daijaku eventually asks, "What is the master doing?" Truly, who could fail to see that he is polishing a tile? But who can see it as polishing a tile? Rather, the polishing of a tile has always been questioned like this: what are you doing? The doing of what is always the polishing of a tile. In this land and other worlds, different though they are, polishing a tile may possess an import that has never ceased. It is not simply a matter of not fixing to our own views as our own views. We perfectly ascertain that in the myriad kinds of work there is import to be learned in practice. Remember, we witness Buddha without knowing or understanding Buddha, just as we see waters without knowing them, and see mountains without knowing them. Nevertheless, if we hastily conclude that there can be no path of penetration to the Dharma before our eyes, that is not Buddhist study. Nengaku says, polishing to make a mirror. We should clarify the meaning of these words. In polishing to make a mirror, Buddhist truths are always present, and the realized universe is present. It is never an empty pretense. Though tiles are tiles, and mirrors are mirrors, we should know that when we are striving to master the truth of polishing, polishing possesses a limitless abundance of distinguishing features. It may be that even the eternal mirror and the clear mirror are made into mirrors by polishing a tile. If we do not know that mirrors derive from polishing a tile, we are without a Buddhist patriarch's expression of the truth. We have not experienced a Buddhist patriarch's mouth opening, and we are not seeing and hearing a Buddhist patriarch's exhalations. Daijaku says, how can polishing a tile realize a mirror? Truly, polishing a tile as the work of an iron man does not rely on the resources of others. Even so, polishing a tile is not to realize a mirror. The realization of a mirror, though it is nothing other than itself, may be described as instantaneous. Nengaku says, how can sitting in Zazen make you into a Buddha? Clearly, there is a truth that Zazen does not expect to become Buddha. The principle is evident that to become Buddha is irrelevant to Zazen. Daijaku says, just what is right here and now? These words look like a question only about this concrete place, but they are also asking about rightness here and now at any other place. Remember, for example, the moment when a close friend meets a close friend. His being my close friend is my being his close friend. Just what is right here and now is direct manifestation of both sides at once. Nangaku says, if, when a person is riding in a cart, the cart does not move, is it right to prod the cart, or is it right to prod the ox? Now, as to the meaning of, if the cart does not move, what is a cart moving? And what is a cart not moving? For example, is water flowing, a cart moving? Is water not flowing, a cart moving? We might say that flowing is water not moving. It may also be that water moving is beyond flowing. Thus, when we investigate the words, if the cart does not move, we may find that there is not moving, and we may find that there is no not moving, because the cart must be in time. The words, if it does not move, have not one-sidedly expressed only not moving. Nengaku says, is it right to prod the cart, or is it right to prod the ox? Can there be both prodding the cart and prodding the ox? Must prodding the cart and prodding the ox be equivalent? Or might they be not equivalent? In the secular world, there is no method of prodding the cart. Though the common man has no method of prodding the cart, we have seen that in Buddhism there is a method of prodding the cart. It is the very eyes of learning in practice. And though we can learn that there is a method of prodding the cart cannot be completely the same as prodding the ox. We should consider this in detail. Though methods of prodding the ox are present in the ordinary world, we should investigate further and learn in practice the prodding of the ox in Buddhism. Is it the prodding of a castrated water buffalo? Is it the prodding of an iron ox? Is it the prodding of a mud ox? Should a whip do the prodding? Should the whole universe do the prodding? Should the whole mind do the prodding? Should the marrow be beaten flat? Should a fist do the beating? There should be fist beating fist, and there should be ox beating ox. Daijaku makes no reply, a state which we should not idly overlook. It is throwing away a tile and pulling in a jewel. It is turning the head and changing the features. Nothing at all can filch this state of no reply. Nengaku teaches further. Your learning sitting dhyana is learning sitting Buddha. Investigating these words, we should grasp them as just the pivotal essence of the ancestral patriarchs. We were not aware of an exact definition of learning Zazen, but now we have seen that it is learning sitting Buddha. How could anyone but the child and grandchild of rightful successors assert that learning Zazen is learning sitting Buddha? Truly we should know that a beginner's Zazen is the first Zazen, and the first Zazen is the first sitting Buddha. Describing Zazen, he says, when we are learning sitting dhyana, that dhyana is beyond sitting and lying down. What he is saying now is that Zazen is Zazen, not sitting or lying down. After we have received the one-to-one transmission of the teaching that Zazen is beyond sitting and lying down, unlimited instances of sitting and lying down are ourself. Why should we seek lifeblood in the familiar or unfamiliar? Why should we discuss delusion and realization? Who wishes to pursue an intellectual conclusion? Nengaku says, when you are learning sitting Buddha, Buddha is beyond any set form. When we want to say what these words say, the expression is like this. The reason sitting Buddha appears as one Buddha and a second Buddha is that it is adorned with transcendence of any set form. Nangaku's saying now that Buddha is beyond any set form expresses the form of Buddha. And because it is Buddha beyond any set form, it is utterly impossible for it to escape the form of sitting Buddha. In sum, because Buddha is adorned with transcendence of any set form, when it is learning sitting dhyana, it is just sitting Buddha. Who, in the non-abiding Dharma, could have preference or aversion for not being Buddha, or preference or aversion for being Buddha? Because it has dropped off, preference and aversion, even before the moment of preference and aversion, sitting Buddha is sitting Buddha. Nangaku says, when you are practicing sitting Buddha, that is just killing Buddha. This says further that when we are investigating sitting Buddha, the virtue of killing Buddha is present. The very moment of sitting Buddha is the killing of Buddha. If we want to explore the good features and the brightness of killing Buddha, they are always present in sitting Buddha. The word to kill is as used by the common man, but we should not blindly equate its usage here with that of the common man. Further, we should investigate the state in which sitting Buddha is killing Buddha, asking, what forms and grades does it have? Taking up the fact that among the virtues of Buddha, killing Buddha is already present, we should learn in practice whether we ourselves are killing a person or not yet killing a person. To attach to the sitting form is not to have attained the principle of that sitting. This to attach to the sitting form means to reject the sitting form and to defile the sitting form. The fundamental principle here is that when we are already practicing sitting Buddha, it is impossible not to be attached to the sitting form. Because it is impossible not to be attached to the sitting form, although attachment to the sitting form is something brilliant, it may be not to have attained the principle of that sitting. Effort like this is called the dropping off of body and mind. Those who have never sat do not possess this state of truth. It exists in the moment of sitting. It exists in the person who is sitting. It exists in the Buddha which is sitting. And it exists in the Buddha which is learning sitting. The sitting which is performed only as the sitting and reclining of human beings is not this state of sitting Buddha. Even if a human sitting naturally appears to be sitting Buddha, or a Buddha sitting, it may be a case of a human being becoming Buddha, or a case of a human being of becoming Buddha. There are human beings of becoming Buddha, but all human beings are not of becoming Buddha. Buddha is not a state of all human beings. All Buddhas are not simply all humanity. Therefore, a human being is not always a Buddha, and Buddha is not always a human being. Sitting Buddha also is like this, and Nangaku and Kosei, excellent master and stout disciple, are like this. Sitting Buddha realizes the experience of becoming Buddha. This is Kosei's case. For the benefit of becoming Buddha, sitting Buddha is demonstrated. This is Nangaku's case. In Nangaku's order, there is effort like this. In Yakusan's order, there are the assertions quoted previously. Remember, what has been described as the pivotal essence of every Buddha and every patriarch is just sitting Buddha. Those who are already the Buddhas and the patriarchs use this pivotal essence. Those who have never used it have simply never seen it, even in a dream. In general, in the Western heavens and the Eastern lands, that the Buddha Dharma has been transmitted has always meant that sitting Buddha has been transmitted. That is because sitting Buddha is the pivotal essence. When the Buddha Dharma has not been transmitted, sitting dhyana, zazen, has not been transmitted. What has been transmitted and received from rightful successor to rightful successor is only this principle of zazen. Those who have not received the one-to-one transmission of this principle are not Buddhist patriarchs. Without illuminating this one Dharma, we do not illuminate the myriad Dharmas, and do not illuminate the myriad deeds. Those who have not illuminated each Dharma, Dharma by Dharma, cannot be called clear-eyed. They are not the attainment of the truth. How could they be Buddhist patriarchs of the eternal past and present? Therefore, we should be absolutely certain that the Buddhist patriarchs have, in every case, received the one-to-one transmission of Zazen. To be illuminated by the presence of the Buddhist patriarch's brightness is to exert oneself in the investigation of this sitting in Zazen. Stupid people mistakenly think that the Buddha's state of brightness might be like the brightness of the sun and the moon, or like the luminance of a pearl or a flame. The brilliance of the sun and moon is only karmic manifestation of the turning of the wheel through the 6 worlds. It cannot compare to the Buddha's state of brightness at all. The Buddha's brightness means accepting, retaining, and hearing a single phrase, maintaining, relying upon, and upholding a single Dharma, and receiving the one-to-one transmission of Zazen. If people are not able to be illuminated by the brightness, they lack this state of maintenance and reliance, and they lack this belief and acceptance. This being so, even since ancient times, few people have known that Zazen is Zazen. On the mountains of the great kingdom of Song today, leaders of top-ranking temples who do not know Zazen and who do not learn of it are many. There are some who know Zazen clearly, but they are few. In many temples, of course, times for Zazen are laid down, and everyone from the abbot to the monks regard sitting in Zazen as the main task. When recruiting students, too, they urge them to sit in Zazen. Even so, those abbots who know Zazen are rare. For this reason, while there have been from ancient times to recent generations one or two old veterans who have written Zazen Mai, mottos of Zazen, and one or two old veterans who have edited Zazengi, standard methods of Zazen, and one or two old veterans who have written Zazenshin, maxims of Zazen. The mottos of Zazen are all devoid of any redeeming feature, and the standard methods of Zazen remain unclear as to its actual performance. They were written by people who do not know Zazen, and who have not received the one-to-one transmission of Zazen. I refer to the maxims of Zazen in Keitoku Dento Roku, the mottos of Zazen in Keitai Futoroku, and so on. It is pitiful that such people spend a lifetime passing in succession through the monasteries of the 10 directions, and yet they have not experienced the effort of one sitting. Sitting is not in them. Their effort does not meet with themselves at all. This is not because Zazen hates their own body and mind, but because they do not aspire to the genuine effort of Zazen, and they are quickly deluded. Their collections seem only to be about getting back to the source, or returning to the origin, about vainly endeavouring to cease thought and become absorbed in serenity. That is not equal to the stages of reflection on, training in, assuming the fragrance of, and cultivation of dhyana. It is not equal to views on the 10 states and the balanced state of truth. How could those people have received the one-to-one transmission of the Zazen of the Buddhas and the patriarchs? Chroniclers of the Sung dynasty were wrong to have recorded their writings, and students in later ages should discard them and should not read them. As a maxim for Zazen, the one written by Zen master Wanshi Shukaku of Tendo Kaitoku-ji Temple on Daibyakomyo Zan Mountain in Keiganfu City in the great kingdom of Sung, and this alone, is the patriarchs, is a true needle for Zazen. and is a fit expression of the truth. Only his is the brightness that illuminates both outside and inside of the Dharma world. He is a Buddhist patriarch among the Buddhist patriarchs of the eternal past and present. Former Buddhas and later Buddhas continue to be spurred by this needle. Through this needle, patriarchs of the present and patriarchs of old are realized. The Zazenshin in question is as follows. Zazenshin, written by Shokaku, who was posthumously titled, by imperial decree, Zen Master One Shi. Pivotal essence of every Buddha, essential pivot of every patriarch, not touching things yet sensing, not opposing circumstances yet being illuminated, not touching things yet sensing. The sensing is naturally subtle. Not opposing circumstances, yet being illuminated. The illumination is naturally fine. The sensing is naturally subtle. There has been no discriminating thought. The illumination is naturally fine. There has been not the slightest dawning. There has been no discriminating thought. The sensing without any duality is singular. There has not been the slightest dawning. The illumination without any grasping is complete. The water is clean, right to the bottom. Fishes are swimming, slowly, slowly. The sky is wide beyond limit, and birds are flying far, far away. The point of this needle for Zazen is that the great function is already manifest before us, is the dignified behavior which is ascendant to sound and form, is a glimpse of the time before our parents were born, is that not to insult the Buddhist patriarchs is good, is never to have avoided losing body and life, and is the head being 3 feet long and the neck being 2 inches. Pivotal essence of every Buddha. Every Buddha, without exception, sees Buddha at every moment as the pivotal essence. That pivotal essence has been realized. It is Zazen. Essential pivot of every patriarch. The late Master did without such words. This principle itself is every patriarch. The transmission of Dharma and the transmission of the robe exist. In general, every instance of turning the head and changing the features is the pivotal essence of every Buddha. And every individual case of changing the features and turning the head is the essential pivot of every patriarch. Not touching things, yet sensing. Sensing is not sense perception. Sense perception is small scale. neither is it intellectual recognition. Intellectual recognition is intentional doing. Therefore, sensing is beyond touching things, and that which is beyond touching things is sensing. We should not consider speculatively that it is universal awareness, and we should not think narrowly that it is self-awareness. This not touching things means when a clear head comes, a clear head does. When a dull head comes, a dull head does. It means to break by sitting the skin that our mothers bore. Not opposing circumstances, yet being illuminated. This being illuminated is not the illumination of enlightened understanding, and is not spiritual illumination. Not to oppose circumstances is described as being illuminated. Illumination does not merge into circumstances, because circumstances are just illumination. The meaning of non-opposition is the whole universe never having been hidden, is a broken world not showing its head, is the subtle, is the fine, and is the state beyond complicated and uncomplicated. The sensing is naturally subtle. There has been no discriminating thought. The state in which thought is sensing is not always reliant on external assistance. The sensing is concrete form, and concrete form is mountains and rivers. These mountains and rivers are subtlety. This subtlety is the fine. When we use this state, it is totally vigorous. When we become a dragon, whether we are inside or outside the dragon gate is irrelevant. To use even one mere instant of the present sensing is to garner the mountains and rivers of the whole universe, and exerting total effort to sense them. Unless our own sensing is in the state of direct familiarity with mountains and rivers, there cannot be a single instance of sensing or half an instance of understanding. We should not grieve about discriminating thought being late in arriving. Every Buddha, in the state of already having discrimination, has already been realized. The non-existence of what has occurred is already having occurred, and already having occurred is realization. In sum, there having been no discrimination is the state of not meeting a single person. The illumination is naturally fine. There has not been the slightest dawning. The slightest means the whole universe. Still, the illumination is naturally the fine itself, and is naturally illumination itself. And for this reason, it seems never to have fetched anything to itself. Do not doubt the eyes, but do not necessarily trust the ears. The state of you must directly clarify the fundamental outside of principles, Do not grasp for standards in words is illumination. For this reason there is no duality, and for this reason there is no grasping. While having dwelt in and retained this state as singularity, and having maintained and relied upon it as completeness, those descriptions I still doubt. The water is clean right to the bottom. Fishes are swimming slowly, slowly. As to the meaning of the water is clean, water suspended in space is not thoroughly clean water. Still less is water that becomes deep and clear in the vessel world. The water of the water is clean. Water that is not bounded by any bank or shore, this is water that is clean right to the bottom. When fish move through this water, swimming is not non-existent. Swimming, for however many tens of thousands of distances it progresses, is unfathomable and also unlimited. There is no bank from which to survey it. There is no air to which it might surface, and there is no bottom to which it might sink. Therefore, there is no one who can fathom it. If we want to discuss its measurements, we say only that the water is clean right to the bottom. The virtue of sitting in Zazen is like this swimming of fishes. Who can estimate it on a scale of thousands or tens of thousands? The course of action that penetrates to the bottom is the whole body not following the way of the birds. The sky is wide beyond limit, and birds are flying far, far away. The sky is wide does not describe what is suspended in the firmament. The sky suspended in the firmament is not the wide sky. Still less is that which pervades that place and this place universally, the wide sky. The sky not hidden or revealed by any outside or inside, this is the wide sky. When birds fly through this sky, flying in the sky is the undivided Dharma. Their action of flying in the sky cannot be measured. Flying in the sky is the whole universe, because the whole universe is flying in the sky. We do not know the extent of this flying, but in expressing it with words which are beyond the realm of estimation, we describe it as far, far away. Straight away, there should be no strings under the feet. When the sky is flying away, the birds also are flying away. And when the birds are flying away, the sky also is flying away. Words that express mastery of flying away are, "It only exists at this concrete place." This is a needle for the still, still state. Tens of thousands of distances travelled vie to tell us, it only exists at this concrete place. Such is the Zazenshin of Zen Master Wan Shi. Among the maxims of veteran patriarchs through the ages, there has never been a Zazenshin like this one. If stinking skin bags in all directions wish to express the like of this Zazenshin, even if they exhausted the effort of a lifetime, or of 2 lifetimes, they would not be able to express it. Through all directions today, we do not find any other. There is this maxim alone. When my late master held formal preaching in the Dharma hall, he would constantly say, "The eternal Buddha, Wan Shi." He never spoke like this of other men at all. When we have the eyes to know a person, we can also know the sound of a Buddhist patriarch. Truly, we have seen that in the lineage of Tozan, a Buddhist patriarch exists. Now it is 80 years or so since the death of Zen Master Wan Shi. Admiring his Zazenshin, I have written the following Zazenshin. Now it is the 18th day, in the 3rd lunar month, in the 3rd year of Ninji. When I count the years between this year and the 8th day of the 10th lunar month, in the 27th year of Shoko, it is only 85 years. The Zazenshin that I have written now is as follows. Zazenshin. Pivotal essence of every Buddha. Essential pivot of every patriarch. Beyond thinking, realizing, beyond complication, realization, beyond thinking, realizing. The realizing is naturally immediate. Beyond complication, realization. The realization is naturally a state of experience. The realizing is naturally immediate. There has been no taintedness. The realization is naturally a state of experience. There has been no rightness or divergence. There has been no tainting of the immediacy. That immediacy is without reliance, yet it gets free. There has been no rightness or divergence in the experience. That state of experience is without design, yet it makes effort. The water is clean right down to the ground. Fishes are swimming like fishes. The sky is wide, clear through to the heavens, and birds are flying like birds. The Zazenshin of Zen Master Wan Shi is never imperfect in expression, but I would like to express it further, like this. In sum, children and grandchildren of the Buddhist patriarchs should unfailingly learn in practice that sitting in Zazen is the one great matter. This is the authentic seal, which is received and transmitted, 1 to 1. Written at Kosho Horinji Temple on the 18th day of the 3rd lunar month, in the 3rd year of the Ninji era. Preached to the assembly at Kippo Temple in the Yoshida district of Eishu in the 11th lunar month during the winter of the 4th year of the same era.